Welcome to the Astropsyche. This is your weekly astrology forecast for August 25th through the 31st. And this week we'll talk a lot about Venus. Venus is changing signs. It's going to, in that process of changing signs, make several different important aspects. And so this theme of Venus archetypes, which are relationships, connection, social qualities, social activities, enjoyment, pleasure, our connection to values and what we find pleasurable and valuable and enjoyable, what we are attracted to, and also our sense of values, our inner value, and even to some extent our self-worth. All of these themes are heightened and very alive, very forward-facing this week. We'll also talk about some of the other astrology that's happening this week. Particularly, I'm curious to share with you a T-square of Mars, Ceres, and Jupiter that is happening this week. This combo plus the Venus aspects to me, just initially as I'm feeling into it, feels very charged, very alive. I feel a sense of enthusiasm around it, but with a richness to it. There's a depth to it, and I'll share more about why I'm feeling that as we go through the time. Uh, so yeah, excited to share the astrology of this week with you. My name is Shawna McGrath. I'm a depth psychotherapist and an astrologer, and always so honored to share the astrology with you from a depth psychological perspective. So, okay, let's talk about what is happening with Venus. So Venus is moving from Cancer into Leo on Monday, August 25th at 9:27 a.m. Pacific time. So this Monday or Tuesday, the 25th or 26th of August, depending on where you are in the world. And Venus will be in Leo until through to September 19th. So we have a little bit of time with Venus here. Also, because of this movement into this sign, Venus is going to be aspecting several of the outer planets. So this does a couple of things. It connects us in with these more collective transpersonal experiences, and it also really heightens our and expands our experience of Venusian things, relationships, beauty, aesthetics, self-worth, all of those themes. So, but before we talk about the aspects, the Venus's movement into a different sign, there's a tone change here around how we are doing relationships, beauty, attraction, and even the sense of how we find a sense of feeling meaning, feeling value, feeling worthiness. These are all Venus themes. We may say that Venus connects into finances as well, and I think it's sort of it's nuanced because Venus is connected to what we value, what we're drawn to, what we find attractive, and thus what we find valuable. And so it is interconnected with how we use our assets, our resources, whether that is financial at a more literal level or our emotional energy, our attention. Venus is this quality of feeling drawn or drawing in. And so there may possibly be this component around finances for you. I don't quite know. It really depends. So there's this shift from Cancerian energy, which is more focused on security and to some extent control, and Cancer is so much about creating a sense of empowerment through space. through literal physical space or through inner space. And at the end of the day, Venus in Cancer tends to be very wanting to feel safe and secure and to sort of like um, collect the things, places, people, experiences that help one to feel at ease, to feel beautiful, to feel enhanced by connections. Whereas Venus and Leo, it's a more expressive sort of energy. So I think a Venus in Cancer is sort of like drawing in to some extent. And of course, it's going to look different for everyone. Um, but there's this quality, I think, with this movement of Venus in Leo to self-expression, to wanting to really feel beautiful, alive, attractive, pleasure. All of these things, they may just become more relevant to you. They may become more important, more something that is just on your radar a bit more. And at the end of the day, Leo is also very much about giving and receiving love and attention and affection. And so with Venus here, the planet of love, attention, affection as well, there's more emphasis around these things. And so feeling seen and appreciated in relationships becomes often more of a focal point when we have Venus in Leo. Now, one of the aspects that is being created with Venus and Leo is that Venus will be opposite Pluto. And this, to me, is a deep and rich and very intensely feeling aspect. Pluto is a symbol of depth, of intensity, of heightened experiences. Some of the archetypal metaphors for Pluto are a diamond, a volcano, a butterfly. These things where something has received a great amount of pressure, and that pressure, that intense experience has created a transformation, and then something new emerges, often in a way that sort of can feel um, unexpected or cathartic. Pluto is also a symbol of cathartic experiences, and Pluto is also a symbol of the hidden, the unseen, the marginalized, that which has been repressed or abandoned or um, cut off for some reason. Even qualities in yourself that maybe are very beautiful qualities, but for whatever reason, uh, psychologically, those beautiful qualities have been unacknowledged or maybe not emphasized. They've been unconscious or unseen in some way. And so when we have Venus to Pluto in this way, Venus can be seen as a relational awakener, that there can be something that comes up from the unconscious or from the unseen that comes up via relationships. So there's something unknown or unseen, something that is being reclaimed that happens through maybe relationships, maybe it's through doing something pleasurable, maybe it's something erotic or that feels erotic. Maybe there is some piece of beauty that invokes something in you. And Pluto can also symbolize themes that are nonverbal or pre-verbal as well. And so I think that's another component of this, is that Venus opposite Pluto can also speak to feeling states that are hard to describe with words. And so this also may be a part of what's happening for you this week. Another way that this may look or manifest is working through power and resources and autonomy and control, whether that is within your own self or externally in an external situation. Pluto is so much about resources and how we use our resources. And Venus also has this connection to money and finances. And when we have these two in an opposition like this, I'm just feeling the potential for breaking through or breaking open something that has felt locked or tamped down in some way. And so it could be a greater sense of opening or revealing. Venus-Pluto is an archetypal combo, is also a symbol of emotional intimacy and how we can seek these experiences of deep emotional bonding, and that is a delicate and vulnerable process to be treated with care. So these are some of the themes, and you'll have to let me know what you're feeling as you're hearing this and what is coming up for you. Again, I really want us to be thinking about Venus-Pluto as, maybe it's something that shows up more externally in your life, but oftentimes it's more of this inner feeling state, which in this case is a feeling state of heightened intensity. And intensity doesn't have to be bad or overwhelming, it just is. And I think oftentimes Pluto can also help us to connect with a deeper part of ourselves, and that in itself can be this very enriching process. And so I'm emphasizing the Venus-Pluto in this Venus equation because since it's an opposition, it's more dynamic, it's more alive, it's more here. It's more like, hey, I have something to share with you. Whereas the other aspects that Venus is making in Leo, this is a trine to Saturn, a trine to Neptune, and a sextile to Uranus. Those are here, but they're more subtle. So they're more like supporting characters in this storyline that we're seeing. And these supporting parts, particularly Saturn and Neptune, the principles of reality and consensus reality, practicality, our limitations, the physical world, this is Saturn, combined with Neptune, which is the non-physical world, the non-ordinary experiences, the mystical. There's something here that is connecting and also around relationships. And it is a trine, so it's supportive. And when I feel into this energy, it's sort of like Venus trine to Saturn Neptune is being able to envision and imagine and create the things that you love. And to also be able to cut through. In this moment, I'm thinking about the Seven of Cups in Tarot and how there can be this overwhelm or indecision with all of the possibility. When we have Saturn Neptune, it can cut many different ways. Saturn Neptune is about the full spectrum of possibility. And then it's about, okay, how do we want to create some finite limitations and boundaries? How do we want to choose Saturn amongst what is the ideal or the potential Neptune? And so I think Venus coming in here is like, okay, yeah, what are you imagining? What are you needing? Saturn is very much about what our non-negotiable needs are. And how can you seek those things out? How can you find solace in those things? And then Uranus sextiling Venus brings this additional support of the unexpected, additional support of trying things a little bit differently, additional support around bringing some change that supports your relational dynamics, that supports your sense of connection to yourself, that supports your enjoyment of your life in general. And all of these themes also are being channeled through the Leo quality of Venus, which is authentic self-expression and giving and receiving love, where there is this feeling of feeling connected to other people and also feeling seen and heard and perceived by other people in a way that feels resonant for you. So yeah, a lot of really heart-based and relational based and what makes you feel alive and connected to yourself and others. This is very strong this week. Now, also this week, we have Mercury, also in Leo, making a trine to Chiron in Aries. And this is also a subtle aspect, but I think that it adds a bit of logical, communicative, analytical support. Mercury helps us to make sense of things, to make meaning of things. It helps us to connect the dots. And it's about the way that our consciousness functions. So in some ways we could think of Mercury as the analytical part of our brain, but with this particular astrology, especially to Chiron, I'm thinking about how this week might look like bringing some healing to the stories that you tell yourself, bringing some healing to the um, the mental patterns that you have, whether that is the thoughts that you have or the beliefs that you have or the stories that sort of the repetitive thoughts or storylines. And Chiron is about tending to the things that are maybe challenging for us or where there's a bit of vulnerability, that there's something that needs a little bit of tending to here. And this is also connecting in to the sign of Leo as well. So this theme around being free to express and feeling like you're having an impact on other people. This is also very Mercury in Leo. And so this to me also feels that it feeds in around the relational component and also just maybe reconsidering how you think about things. I think I do want to say too, I think this week is really fantastic for seeking out ways to make changes in the way that you are perceiving things. So whether that is doing some beginning or continuing some sort of contemplative practice or a spiritual practice, mindful or meditation practice, entering into therapy or healing processes, anything like that. I really feel the channel here for that between Venus and Pluto, and then also with Mercury and Chiron here. There's a lot of potential for bringing in transformation via your attention. Okay, so also this week we have this T-square of Mars, Ceres, and Jupiter, and so what is happening this week is Mars is about midway through the sign of Libra, and this means that it's making an opposition to Ceres, the goddess asteroid Ceres. Ceres is a symbol of our experience of loss and separation and individuation, how we separate from other people and let other people have their own experience while also having our own experience and continue to develop and maintain and further our own sense of, yes, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is my life. And then also with that, maintain connection to the people who are important to us. So Ceres can have this quality of the independence that comes from choosing yourself, but then also at the same time, the grief and loss of choosing your own life as well, because that does mean some level of separation. And Ceres is also connected to initiation rites. Ceres and Persephone in ancient Greece were connected to the Ulyssean mystery initiation rites, which we don't know exactly what happened there, but we do know that it was honoring this process of Persephone being separated from Ceres, going down into the underworld, and then coming back up. And then every year, Persephone going down, separating from her mother, going down into the underworld to be queen of the underworld, and then coming back up. And so there's this theme also of separation and then return, and separation and return, this symbol of cycles. So I realize I'm throwing a lot at you, and that is because Ceres holds a lot of different qualities. So Mars and Ceres are exactly opposite one another this week. Ceres is at 15 degrees of Aries. Mars is at 15 degrees of Libra. And this to me shows a strong marker of possibly an initiation of some kind where maybe you're making a choice to pursue something, or there's a choice to set a boundary, there's a choice to initiate a sense of completion or an ending or embarking on something brand new. Sometimes endings and beginnings are one and the same. And I'm saying that because Mars is so much connected to our boundaries, our no, our advocation, our standing up for something. And then Ceres, there's something here around choosing yourself, letting go. There's maybe something, and I don't know, actually, maybe it involves a simultaneous ending and beginning. Maybe there's a separation as well as a reunion. I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know. But there's something here around boundaries. And when I say boundaries, that may look like you verbally or in some other way enacting a boundary. It may involve emotional boundaries, and it may involve more of this Mercury working with your mind and your thoughts around contemplating how you take responsibility for yourself or for others, and how you want to possibly emotionally set down a situation or a person. Now, this Mars series is being T-squared by Jupiter in Cancer. So it's creating this, if we were to draw it in the chart, the opposition would be a line here, and then Jupiter would come in to create this T shape. And Jupiter expands, it elaborates, it emphasizes. It's like, yeah, let's do more. Let's explore more, let's learn more, let's have more. Let us philosophicalize about things. Let's learn everything about all of it. Jupiter is about continuing to grow and develop, and Jupiter also has this hopeful, optimistic, even in some cases risk-taking quality to it. Jupiter is also a symbol of people who are in a position to help, to support in some way. And so there's something here that is emphasizing this quality of boundaries, initiations, and as I'm feeling into this, talking with you here about it, it feels very dynamic to me. It feels very alive, and it's interesting because we're talking about Mars in Libra, and Mars in Libra is a Mars function that is relational. It's Libra, ruled by Venus. Libra is about relationships, balance, justice, considering multiple possibilities, finding a sense of ongoing equanimity or an ongoing balance around things, and really wanting to judge, okay, what is not just, I think Mars and Libra is like not just what's the best move here for all involved, but what are the long-term effects? What are the repercussions? How is that going to impact everyone? And so I'm saying that because this is a Mars, an action, advocation, a boundary setting that is contemplative and thoughtful and diplomatic. There's a really holding space for the relational element in setting boundaries. And then we have Jupiter in Cancer, which Jupiter in Cancer has this quality of, again, I'm thinking of Cancer as like collecting and wanting emotional security and safety. Cancer is this water sign, of course, that is about the emotions and the intuition. It's very feeling based. And so even though Mars and Jupiter feels very dynamic and alive and passionate, we could think of Mars as emphasizing, or we could think of Jupiter as emphasizing the Mars quality of like feeling fired up about things. And also there is this like wanting to honor relationships. And as I'm describing this to you, I can kind of feel how there possibly this week could feel sort of like a tumble of all of the emotions. Because when we have Mars in Libra, there can be a tendency to become paralyzed by all of the decisions and all of the contemplations, and there may not feel like one clear path forward. And then there is this like pausing or holding, um, and yet there is something to be acted on here. And so yeah, I feel this. I think this week for you is really about looking at how you are interacting with people, how you are showing up, how you feel around other people, um, what kind of responses you have internally in different relational or social settings, and at a deeper level, how that connects in with your sense of self. And so I think this is a really interesting week to notice what you notice what comes up for you, and to really listen to yourself on and to another thing with Venus Pluto is there's an emphasis around ruthless, authentic honesty with yourself on, okay, this is how I actually feel about this situation. And I encourage you to um, cultivate a sense of non-judgment and non-pathologizing yourself as you're noticing the feelings that are coming up for you, because all of these thoughts and feelings are saying something. Like all of this is communication from your psyche about what you want, what you need. And sometimes thoughts and feelings can be confusing because they're indirect, or they're a presenting symptom of something that maybe is different than what meets the eye initially. And so this is where we get to do this Venus Pluto work this week, is digging deeper into the feeling behind the feeling, and ideally, as much as we can, holding space for whatever your experience is without shaming it, without making it bad, or without trying to change it. Um, at least within your own self. And of course, this is easier said than done. So I'm saying this to you as well as to myself. And I think that when we have a lot of Venus emphasized like this, and we have Mars emphasized, it's really helpful to focus on, okay, what am I feeling right now, and what is happening, and like, I wonder what's going on there. And how can I connect what I'm feeling now to what has just happened, or what I'm thinking about, and sort of doing some, this is also very Pluto, this like sort of emotional investigation process. Okay, so, and then also, yeah, maybe something around boundaries this week as well. I'm not quite sure. You'll have to tell me what you're feeling uh, as we move through this process. And this Mars series Jupiter T square is active this week and into next week as well, because Mars is approaching a square to Jupiter. So it's right now really emphasizing the series. Next week it'll be with Jupiter. And so we're in this more um, couple of weeks wave pattern, archetypal wave pattern of expanding your capacity for boundaries and advocacy for yourself and for others. Now, the last thing that I'll say this week is we have our first quarter moon in Sagittarius on what day is this on? On Saturday, August 30th at 11:25 p.m. Pacific time. So Saturday, maybe Sunday, depending on where you are. And this is happening at 8 degrees of Sagittarius. And so the first quarter moon is a waxing moon point. It's a point in the lunar cycle where the moon is appearing to grow larger and larger in the sky. It is emotionally this tone of extroversion, of doing things, of taking action, of being more out in the world, possibly being more physically active. Uh, it's this time of building and growing. And so this is just maybe you might be feeling a bit more of this way. And it's also, we can think of doing things that you want to continue to grow and elaborate, and putting, if you're wanting to line up with the lunar cycles, this is a week where you would put more of your energy into the feelings, thoughts, projects, relationships, situations that you want to elaborate, and the things that you want to continue to grow over the next many weeks. And so this first quarter moon is happening over the weekend, essentially, Saturday and Sunday. And what's I wanted to emphasize that it's happening and it's connecting in with this, it's sort of creating a grand trine between Venus in Leo and Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so I think I kind of like this weekend. It feels, particularly because it's fire, um, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, all fire signs, and the moon in particular is in Sagittarius, which is this uh, emotional quality that tends to be hopeful, optimistic, for better or worse, of course. But I just really like this, and it feels like this weekend there's this theme around getting a sense of ease and opening to maybe the things that have been possibly more intense or challenging over the course of the week. I think that this weekend it's kind of like, sort of breathing an exhale or moving more into the flow, where there's a bit of the pressure valve being released. Uh, I think that anytime that a planet or the moon moves from Scorpio to Sagittarius, which will happen this week. So let's see, what is it? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the moon is in Scorpio, which is this more piercing, intense, very alive kind of energy. And then when the moon moves into Sagittarius over the weekend, there's sort of a releasing some of the pressure. And it's connecting in particularly to Venus relationships, self-worth, and Saturn and Neptune around uh, that ongoing process of connecting with limitation as well as possibility. And so I think there's a lot of potential for really moving into a state of being in the flow over the weekend. Okay, so I'm gonna pull some tarot for you, and yeah, I'm really curious. I have a little bit more that I want to say here, but I'm really curious how this is sitting with you so far, what you're noticing coming up as you're listening to this. And I want you to be thinking about how you feel about yourself and any repetitive thoughts or storylines that maybe you have that come up often. And if you want to intentionally modify those in some way, if you want to intentionally transform those. And often we have so many, we have all all of the things, right? We often have many thought patterns or storylines that we're conscious of, but we often have many that are unconscious, that are running as if they're background software. And so I want you this week to be watching for things that are sort of running in the background and like, oh, I didn't realize that I actually think that a lot. And what impact does that have on you? Um, Other things I want you to be reflecting on this week are when you feel mad or agitated, or like it could simply be passion, it could simply be feeling fired up. And what is what is being drawn from you in these points? That anger, that agitation, what is it telling you? What is it communicating to you, for you, about you? And I realize I'm giving you these reflections in a way that's not as streamlined and concise. I am experimenting with conveying the astrology and just these videos in general in a way that for me feels more organic. And so, as you may have already perceived, my way of speaking tends to be a bit meandering sometimes. And I know some people like that, some people don't. And so, uh, I don't know why I'm telling you that, but I wanted to share with you that um, sometimes I think that reflections and the way that we think about the astrology and the way that I want to express some of these themes to you is more about being with the themes and the energy versus having and sort of like swimming around in it. I suppose this is very Neptunian, sort of swimming around in it and seeing what is being invoked in you and really feeling what is happening for you, what comes up, versus having these more concise, packaged sort of interpretations. Um, so, anyways, yes. Uh, that's what I have to say about the astrology. Actually, I take that back. One more thing, and then we'll move on to the tarot. So, I did just want to let you know next week we have two big things that are happening, and that is the planet Saturn is moving back into Pisces. And so we're going to talk about that next week. But I want you to have in the back of your mind that that is a major change that's happening. Um, Saturn will move back into Pisces from September 1st through February 13th of 2026. And this is remembering and moving back into and tying up loose ends around the themes of Saturn and Pisces that we have experienced over the last 3 years or so. Next week, we also have an eclipse, first of our pair of eclipses this season. So we'll have a full moon total lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 7th. And so we'll talk more about that next week. But I also feel like next week is a big week that is big in terms of change and transition. And often when we have eclipses and eclipse season, it can feel like things are changing in a way that feels sort of almost unexpected and sort of almost fated, like the stars align, as they say. And so we're already moving into that territory. And so I wanted to share that with you because that may already be something that you're feeling like you're picking up on. And when we're moving into eclipse season, there is this quality of being able to tune into the potential realities that are happening. The sort of like being able to more sensitively tune in to what is happening before it happens. And so oftentimes we can sort of get a feel for things. And I want you to also be thinking about listening to your subtle intuitions, your subtle hunches, your dreams, the things that you're sort of like, oh, I wonder, or maybe I kind of have this feeling. I want you to be paying more attention to those things always, but we're taking those things even more seriously as we move into eclipse season because uh, there's a heightened sensitivity around this time for connecting into the unseen world. Okay, so let's pull some tarot for you. Um, if you're not already, I invite you to get into a place that feels comfortable, um, feels like you can be at ease, whether that is sitting, laying down, moving, walking, whatever feels good for your body. And wherever you are, imagine that you are contained within this beautiful protective bubble of energy. If you're a visual person, you can imagine this as light around you. If visualization is not your thing, you can imagine simply that it's there, know that it's there. Maybe there's a color or a texture or a feeling or an emotional quality to it. Maybe there's this simple knowing that you are protected and supported. In this place, you may wish to invite in the presence of your spiritual guidance team, ancestors, whoever, whatever is that benevolent, protective, guiding force for you. Ask that they are here with you to protect you, to help you, and to communicate with you in a way that you can easily understand right now. Okay. So if you like, you can pick a number between 1 and 3, and that card will be special to you. Okay, so first card, this is a special card in this deck. The deck is, I think it's called the Tarot Spells and Potions. And in this deck, there's a card called the Strategy card. And it has this image of a person in a yellow dress with a wide brimmed yellow hat. And this card to me always feels like a combo of the Magician and the Strength card. They have the infinity symbol above the top of their head, and they're holding a pentacle in one hand, and the pentacle is levitating just above their hand. And then in their other hand, they have a wand. And then they are very strategically stepping between a wand and a sword. I suppose all that's missing here is the cup, the suit of the cups. Actually, I see a cup in here. So strategy, I want you to just sit with and notice what strategy means to you and why strategy may be coming up for you at this point in time, particularly when you are watching this video. Um, why may Psyche have chosen this card for you at this particular moment? And what does strategy look like for you? Um, what do you want it to look like? What do you think it should look like? And what I think, I will tell you, what I think about this card is it's such a reminder that you have all of the raw materials, you have all of the capacity to do the thing that needs to be done to walk the path. And actually, I've never thought about this card in this way, but just in this moment when I'm looking at it, it almost looks as if they're walking on water through a river. They're following the path of the river downward, and so they are following the flow, but they're also poised and aware and alert and attentive. And there is this quality of resources and inner strength. So external resources and internal strength. And that combined with yellow being, in some traditions, yellow is a symbol of the planet Jupiter, this sense of optimism, this sense of like, okay, yes, I'm going to go on an adventure, whether that is an external adventure or an internal adventure. This card to me feels like an encouragement to you. And I don't know, maybe you need or want encouragement at this time. Maybe you're feeling discouraged, possibly. We'll see what other cards are here to sort of get a feel for that. And I think this card speaks to your capacity to move through something. And in this moment, I'm just really feeling this theme of initiation and moving through a threshold, and that when we move through an initiatory process, whether that um, is so when I say initiatory process, I'm thinking of any major life change. That could be starting a new job or a vocation or getting married, getting divorced, starting a new relationship, ending a relationship, going to school, graduating, moving to a new place. Uh, what else am I missing? All of the different, these major life transitions that change something, not just on the outside, but on the inside. There is something that is transformed. And so I'm not quite sure. I don't know. You'll have to let me know, but I feel something about moving through an initiatory process. And some of them, of course, are short term, some are more long term, the transition themselves. And this card is an encouragement for you to move through that process, and possibly a reminder to actually, as I'm thinking about this, I'm feeling into the Mars-Jupiter, Mars-Ceres-Jupiter, the sense of uh, enthusiasm of Mars and the sense of hope with Jupiter. And one of the challenges of Jupiter is that sometimes it can uh, signal where we overestimate because of a hopeful attitude. And so I do wonder if the strategery is coming in to make sure that we're not moving too fast or um, taking on a risk that maybe is a little bit over our heads, something like this. So uh, definitely something here for you around strongly moving through a major life transition. Okay, second card here is the Queen of Wands. And in this deck, it's an image of a person who is sitting on, what are they sitting on? It's sort of like a tree stump, and they are doing, it looks like they're doing a spell. They look delighted also. So the Queen of Wands is, to me, one of the cards that the most represents inner confidence and very Leo-like qualities. Um, in the original Smith-Waite deck, uh, there's an image of a sunflower and a black cat on the card. And I always feel that sunflower is sort of like this symbol of the confidence and delight in self-expression that comes with the Queen of Wands. The The Queen, like many of the other court cards, is about being seen, being visible, having an impact, having an influence. Sometimes that can be roles of leadership or roles of visibility. Um, but regardless, it's about how you feel important and seen, and how you feel that you have that you matter in the world is very much Queen of Wands. And the Wands is about our passion and our enthusiasm and our self-expression. And so when I'm looking at this, there's something here that wants to be expressed. There's something here encouraging you to have to connect with your inner confidence, with your inner passion and enthusiasm, and that is something that other people can benefit from. That even just your way of being can be a positive impact. Okay. Uh, Third card is the Three of Wands. All of these cards to me feel very expansive. They feel very forward moving. They feel very exploratory. They all feel very Jupiterian, actually. So, Three of Wands is about imagining the future, seeing the big picture. It's also about this point in time where we transition from imagining to planning, to doing the things. And it's this like you're still really in the overarching broad planning process, but it's where things start to get real. And it's often where you start to seek out help or assistance from other people. That starts to become necessary. And this card is about maintaining the broad, overarching vision and holding that in your mind while saying, okay, now what do I need to do now? Or maybe for you, that's okay. How do I reverse engineer what to get to create what it is that I'm envisioning? And there's something here also in the Three of Wands in cultivating this determined, hopeful attitude. And it's also an encouragement to start to make things real. If we think of the three as the continuation of the Two of Wands, which is about envisioning the future, the Ace of Wands, which is about the root of this new passion, this new enthusiasm. In fact, did we get the Ace of Wands last week or the week before? I think we did. Uh, the three is like, okay, things are coming into form. It's still very young, it's still very fresh, but it's starting to get some roots, some legs. Things are starting to happen. And so a component of that involves making choice, and a component of that involves taking yourself seriously, taking your visions seriously. And as I'm looking at all of these together, yeah, there's really something here around believing in your capacity, cultivating through practice a sense of worthiness. And I'm wondering if that is maybe a big part of this is um, strategically, day by day, reminding yourself that you can do difficult things, um, and that you're important, and that what you have to offer is of value, and that that helps to move you forward in this path of where you're going, whatever that path is where you're at now. There's this theme of cultivating your inner capacity for moving forward, by reminding yourself that yes, you can do it, and that it's this ongoing practice. It's not just a one-time decision. There is this continued practice of moving forward. All right, that is your astrology of this week. Such an honor as always to make these videos for you. I am sending you lots of love and wishing you a most safe and easeful and enjoyable week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.